All right. Good morning, everybody. Shushanpur. A little out of it right now. I speak. Yeah, I think I have a pounding headache and
Lots of service.
yeah, so I got a headache. I just gotta get through this and I don't know, maybe lie down or something. All right. So yeah, all right, all good. Yeah. Nothing hot. Yeah. So we were discussing yesterday. We had a stira. It was a machlokas about basically when you have one of the brothers perform yibum, perform chalitza with one of the wives. So the question really is that if that wife or even her tzara goes ahead and marries him or the brother, is that the case of kares, right? Which would be most likely like the opinion of Reish Lakish, or because in other words, you have the issur of Eishes Ach, because there was already mitzvah, and once the mitzvah was removed, now it goes back to the original vera of Eishes Ach. Or do you say that basically it's a lav? It's only a lav now. That the shuv lo yivna, right? That you're supposed to build your brother's house, and if you didn't, then you violate that law. So what was going on there? So we had a stira in the brisa. So we one shita it was according to one teretz it was according to Rabbi Kiva, who holds that even in the case of chayvi lavin, that the kedushin would not be toifes, the kedushin would not work. And therefore, so that was that understanding. And says Rav Ashi is another teretz. So top line in Yud Aleph and Aleph, Rav Ashi saver la Reish Lakish and Mataritz like Rabbi Shimon. He actually holds like Reish Lakish. We'll see. We'll explain. And which now is that it includes a kares, but that also goes to the opinion according to Rabbi Shimon. And Ravina said like Rabbi Yochanan, Mataritz like Rabbanan, and Ravina would hold like Rabbi Yochanan, and Mataritz like the Rabbanan regarding this machlokes, as we saw, not this machlokes between Rabbi Shimon and Rabbanan, which we explained earlier, which we'll explain once again. Rav Ashi said like Reish Lakish, Mataritz like Rabbi Shimon. What's going on here? So Rav Ashi explains like Reish Lakish, and he says, and he uses the shita of Rabbi Shimon. What's the case of there? Hachalitz leaving to the chazav ikitsha. One who goes ahead, so the brisa when it says he's chalitz leivimto, he does chalitza to the ivama, and then he goes ahead, he takes her, and he's mekadisher, and then he dies. So therefore, she needs chalitz menachin. So menachin, who were the brothers here? So achin, hayiludim, these are ones that were born afterwards. In other words, they were born after she did chalitza, right? So we discussed the case of Eishes Achiv, right? Shaloya lo belamo. And therefore, since Yehuda was born later on, so he wasn't alive at the same time as when Reuven, the first husband, not the second husband who married her, but the Reuven, the first one. And therefore, so in such a case, it would be okay, right? It would be okay. And therefore, and come on, who is it like? That would be like Rabbi Shimon. Because according to Rabbi Shimon, there is no Isra to her because already the Chalitza was done after he was born. And Amar Echamin Analadim Vikitcha. Then it says if one of those who were born earlier, in other words, he was born while, in other words, after Reuven died before she did chalitza, ein la alav klum, right? Therefore, there is nothing, right? Come on, Reish Lakish. That's why Reish Lakish who says that since there is Isser now, according, right, even Rabbi Shimon would agree that Isser does apply of Eishes Achiv Shalei Balamo, applies to now to this woman. So therefore, right, there's an Isser kares there, and therefore, if she goes ahead and she marries, right, afterwards, right, she's she marries the guy she did chalitza with, right? So then she would not require anything because it would be like Reish Lakish who holds that it's a chi of kares and therefore it's nothing. And Ravina said like Rabbi Yochanan, and Ravina will explain the brisa like Rabbi Yochanan, and he'll explain the Rabbanan. One who goes that does chalitza, then afterwards he takes her and he marries her. So it's tzricha chalitza menachin. So then he dies. So therefore, there's chalitza required from the brothers. Saman achin hanolad. These are ones who were born, right? They were born already. In other words, they were born while she was awaiting chalitza from Reuven, because Reuven died, or I guess chalitza from Shimon. After Reuven died. So therefore, there is an isser on these people. In other words, she is usher to them. Right? So come on, this would be like Rabbi Yochanan. This would be like Rabbi Yochanan, who holds that even though that they were born, there's an Isser Ach, but once the Chalitza is done, then according to Rabbi Yochanan, there's no more kares, it's only a lav. And then if one of the brothers, right, who was born afterwards, right, then he was Makadisher. In other words, she did Chalitza one of them, and then one of the brothers took her in marriage. Right? Ain't no love klum there. Then there's chai for nothing. Come on, who's that like? That's like Rabbanan, because the Rabbanan hold that even right somebody who was born afterwards, therefore there is no her Isra of Eshes Ach remains from Ruvain from before, and therefore there would not be any sort of kedushin there. Therefore, if that husband dies, there would be no yibum rechlitza required. Fine, Itamar. So smack sort of like a middle of the page, first word of the line. Itamar. Haba al Yavama Uba Echad Mina Achin al Tzarasa. So a guy dies, leaves over two brothers, right? And so one of the wives one of the women have to go ahead and do Yibam or Chalitza. So let's say one of them is Vayivam. And then so one does Yibam. Yeah, that'll be great. Thank you. So if one of them does Yibum and the other, her Tzara, marries another brother. Right, so now the Yibum was already gone, the obligation, because once one of the wives do it, the other one can go ahead and marry up scot-free. She's not bound by the laws of Yibum Chalitza anymore. She can go ahead and marry whoever she wants. So plig about Rav Acha Ravina. One says it's a kares. One says it's a kares because once that the Isser of Yibum or the obligation of Yibum was fulfilled by her co-wife, and now all of a sudden it reverts back to her kares. Both of them. There's two women that fall. One guy, right? Ruvain is married to two women. Ruvain dies, right? He has no kids,
right?
And there's four brothers, let's say, right? So three left, right? So one of the brothers have to do yibum or chalitza with one of the wives.
But the obligation on the brothers.
Yeah, but right. I mean, they're tied to them. They can't do anything. It's like a woman waiting to be divorced. They're tied to them. They can't go ahead and marry anybody they want. They have to wait for this obligation. So once one of them does it, any one of the brothers to either one of the wives, everybody else is like, there's no more obligation. There's no more obligation to the other brothers. This other wife can do whatever she wants. There's no zika anymore. They're bound to it. So question over here is one says is a kares. One says ase. So say the one who says the kares is like Reish Lakish, because Reish Lakish says that once the obligation of Yibum is done, then it reverts back to the original Isser of Eshes Ach. And the other one will say, like, the one that will say Asi will be like Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan holds that no, once the Isser, Kares, is removed, it doesn't come back. Now it just remains a lav of, you didn't build your brother's house, and therefore by you taking here, so you've violated that lav. Fine.
What's the assay?
Because it says Asher. No. It's because it says Shuv Lo Yivna. Where's the pasuk over here? The pasuk by Chalitza, right? If he who chooses not to take, I think, right. Asher.
What's the assay?
Right. Where's the pasuk? Right. Yeah. No. So the Gemara pointed out yesterday. Let me see if I can see if I can find it.
I'm sorry.
No. Yeah.
And I knew it yesterday.
Let's see if I can find it. I don't see the psuk on the side. Let me see. Was it 2 days ago?
Let's go on.
All right, we'll go on. Fine.
Probably in the art school knows.
If I never, let me see.
Yes,
No. It's from Asher Lo Bana. It's the pasuk by Chalitza.
Okay.
The pasuk over there says Asher Lo Bana, and then therefore it creates an assay to be bona, and therefore it's a chavi assay. Fine. No. You're good. I'll just. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Marav Saras Sota Asura. Says the Gemara, Saras Sota. What's it, Saras Sota? Now, we know the typical case of Sota is a woman, her husband warned her, stay away from this guy, and then they're seen in seclusion. That's one case of sota. There's another case of sota. Even this case is a guy. Basically, she was mizana, right? And there were witnesses to her being mizana. There were witnesses to her being with another man while she was married to him. Not just nistra, but there were for her that she was mizana. There were witnesses there. And then before he's able to divorce her, right, for this woman who was mizana, she went and committed adultery, right? So he died without kids. So tzara sota asura. So the tzara of the sota is asur. In other words, since
He didn't know, right? He didn't know.
what do you mean?
He passed away. He didn't know that she was.
Oh, he knew. He
No,
knew.
he
He
knew
just
the
didn't have a chance to do it yet. He didn't
he
divorce
didn't
her.
know.
Right? They didn't do the water. They already witnesses. You don't need the water.
Oh, she was witness.
She was witness to be Mazana. She wasn't just witness to be Nistra. Right. ADB. Right. So right, he didn't divorce her. He didn't have a chance. Right. So he has to get rid of her. He has to divorce her. But he dies before, right? Suspicious death, right? Now, so Tuma, so it says Tzara Sota, right? So such a case. So we say Tzara Sota Asura. Why? Because it's Tuma Ksiv Bet Karais. It says the word Tuma over there, right? So this says the word Tuma over there. We know, and also says by Arais, it says Tuma. So therefore, by Arias, if one woman, let's say, is Asur to do Yibum Chalitza, right? So therefore, the Tzara is also Pater. So it's over here, right? So this woman, basically Asur, right? She's Asur now to the brother, right? Because she was a woman who was Mazana. So therefore, that Tzara should be Pater. So what sounds like over there, the Bir Chalitza, right, from one of the brothers, right, would pater the tzara. So you see over there that there is an obligation, right? So it says so over there, that case over there. So the case over there, it was actually referring to a Mishnah. The Mishnah over there was referring to a case of if a woman's husband went off to Medina Siyam. He went off and she heard rumors that her husband died. She heard that her husband died. So she's almana, right? So she goes ahead and she remarries, right? And then all of a sudden, a guy comes back, right? The original guy comes back, right? So the husband comes back. So therefore, her kedushin with guy number 2 is nothing, right? And she's still married to guy number 1, right? So since we don't want to go, we want to prevent this. So therefore, we say that the woman, right, has to go ahead and divorce guy number 2. She can't remain with him, right, as a punishment. The Rabbanu were, there was a kanas, right? So in this case over there, so, and then let's say, so the guy is supposed to divorce this woman, right? Just like in our case, where he was supposed to divorce the woman because she committed adultery. So over there, which he's usher, he's supposed to divorce her. It says over there, right? Right? Pater and tzara. But now, as you see, there's an obligation over there of Yibum Chalitza, right? So Ravi answers, so I was talking about a case of Sota Deraisa. That's the case of Sota Deraisa, knows where he is obligated to go ahead and divorce her. You're bringing me a case of Midrabanan. The Rabbanan say you have to go ahead and divorce her. That's why there's an obligation on her on the tzara. So the karele, my karele. So what was the havmina? So why'd you ask the kasha? It's a pasha answer. So it says no, right? Anything, any takana that they say, right, is just like deraisa. So if they say you have to divorce, so you have to divorce just like in the case of a deraisa case, you have to divorce. In the deraisa case, you have to divorce, right? And he doesn't divorce and he dies, right? There's no yibum or chalisa required. So maybe it's the same thing here. We say no, it's still a little different. So Mesa Ravashi has a kasha nichnasa imo l'saser. So if a woman, basically she was warned, stay away from that guy, right? There's rumors about you with him. Stay away from that other man. She's married to Ruvain, right? And then she's been witnessed to be secluded with him in a long period of time, right? The Asura Labesa, she's usher to go back to her husband, right? The Asura Lechol Truma, and if he's a Kohen, she can no longer eat Truma. She's going until she drinks, right? Until she drinks and either proven innocent or guilty. The mace, and if the husband dies during this period without children, chaletzes below misyaberes, right? So then she does chalitza, but she cannot do yibum. So what do you see over here? That there's a chiyuv for chalitza, right? There's a chiyuv for chalitza. Before we said, hey, what do you mean? It's the same as tuma. Tuma is like a rayas. A rayas, you're done, right? You can't be, you can't do yibum or chalitza with one of your relatives. So therefore, you're completely done. So over here, right? But it says over there, do you chalitza not yibum? So so the suffix. I talked the case where it was a vada. There was witnesses that she was nivala, right? She was nivelis, right? There was witnesses that she was with another man, right? There were witnesses to that act, and over here we're only talking about it's a suffix. So in the case of the vada, then over there you got off scot-free. But in the case of the suffix, so then it's not necessarily tuma, right? As we compare it to arayas, and therefore you require chalitza. So the Gemara says no. Ma'ishna says the vadai shouldn't chsive tuma. It says over there tuma. So there's something nami tuma chsive above. It says over there the Tanya Rabbi Yossi ben Kiva Rabbi Mishum Rabbi Elazar hamachzer gushasa mina nesuin asura mina erisin muteris mishum shenamar achrei asher hitam. So the pasuk over there brought on the side over here. So the pasuk says, "La yuchal bala harisha asher shilcha loshuv lakachta liyais lo isha acharei asher hutam kitoevahi." Right. So it says over there that a person he divorces his wife, he can go ahead and take her back. It's fine. But if she goes ahead and she's with another man, right? So it says liyais lo isha, right? Ishus, right? And then it says, right? Asher, right? Hutama, right? She's need to make. No, she's with another man. If she marries somebody else, then divorces that guy, right? So she married Ruvain, got divorced, married. No, because Machzer Gushaso. Then she married Shimon. Now, and then divorces Shimon. Right, or he dies. That one's already dies. Ruvain can't take her back because it says Asher Hutama. So we learn over there. So according to Rabbi Yossi ben Kiva, it says over there, Hamachzer Gushasa mina nesuin. If it's from this suin, in other words, she didn't just betroth the guy, but she did the full, right? Not just the kedushin part, rather she did the full nesuin, which involves bia, right? So then over there, then she is usher. But if it was only erisin, if it was only the betrothal part, then she's muteris because she did not tameya. She wasn't hutma, right? Asher hutama. Right. However, Chavimami, no, achazu v'achazu asura. Right. No, both. Not only if she did full nesuin with Shimon, even if she was only betrothed to him, even if there was only kedushin. Why is that? Right. Elamani mikayim acharei utama. The rabbi said in Israel. So he learns the pasuk over there. It says lo isha. So the Rabbanan learned. So this is going to be the difference between the two shitas. The Rabbanan learned that the pasuk over there by Machzer Grushaso. It says. Right, it's right. It says Leisha. Right, she's to another man. She even if she's kedushin. So why does it say that she was hutama? She was defiled, or whatever? That she was, that she was physically with another man. So I can teach you another case. So that over there, according to Rabban, is not talking about machzor grushaso, which is the shot of the pasuk. So it has to teach another case. So what case is it talking about? The rabbi is sota shenistera, right? Talking about a sota, right, who was secluded with another man, and in such a case he can't take her back. So in such a case we're talking about that if she, in that case, according to the Rabbanan, right, that case is talking that it's called tuma, even if a woman was just secluded. There are witnesses to her being seclusion, and it's just like her being secluded, right? Nistara is the same as if she was nivala. And we said in the case of nivala earlier, we said that in the case of nivala that her and her tzara are completely pata from Yibum Chalitza. So to over here, according to the Rabbanan, a woman is Nistara, right, is the same thing, learn out for this pasuk, is the same thing as a woman who was Nivala. So therefore, he compares the case. So you answered over there, oh, no, it's different cases. One is a sota vadai versus a sota suffix. So he says, no, according to the Rabbanan, sota suffix is the same thing as sota vadai, that both of them are pata from Yibum Chalitza. And my Nistara, So he says, no. What does it mean, Nistra, right? It says over there, the rabbi said, Nistra means Nivala. It doesn't mean that she was just secluded and their witnesses are seclusion. It means that she was mamish Nivel. She's Nivelis with a guy, right? The Maikar Nistra, I say Nistra, he wants to use a cleaner lashon in the pasuk. Nivala, right? Says Venistra v'hinitma. It says, what do you mean? It says over there, right? Venistra v'hinitma. It says no, you can't just say it's lashon naki because it says Venistra and she's minitma. So Truma even comes from being Nistra.
So before
Yeah.
we said that if she was a certain amount of time,
Yeah.
then she has to do
Right.
She is capable of the chalitza. But here we presume that she.
So right. So that was the contradiction. That was the kasha. Over there, it says even for seclusion, you still need chalitza.
Right.
And so the kasha was over here. We see no, there's no difference whether she was nivelis with somebody else or she was just nisteris with somebody else. Kadei tuma. It should be the same halacha. So I say no. That pasuk over there is referring to that. So the Gemara answers no. Lemeki malah balaf. Right. To create a lav, it just says over there that he cannot go ahead and take her back, but does not create a lav, right? There is no a lav over there. There is no loisa say where a person would be chayiv for malchus, right? Right. So he says over here, according to Rabbi Yosef Akiva, so he does it right. And there is no lav there because he doesn't use the pasuk for that. He says the pasuk is referring to machzir grusha. So as opposed to the Rabbanan say no, this pasuk is referring to this the sota, which now has that, right? If he lazane nami, and even if she's mezane also, right? My timer. So it says havya ishus ksiva. It says over there havya and ishus, right? It says v'haya liyais lo liisha. Right. So since it says over there, so therefore the pasuk is talking about that case over there that she is ushered her husband, but it never goes ahead and it creates an actual lav. Rather, it's talking about that she can no longer be married to the husband, but does not create a lav in that case.
If it's a sota suffix, she cannot be married to her husband anymore. They have to get divorced.
If then she has to drink the sota water.
The water.
Right.
So the suffix. Okay, so just being a suffix.
Right. But then the whole issue was that if he dies, so he wasn't really supposed, if he dies, what do we do with her? Is she a regular woman? I was like, oh, well, she didn't drink salt water. Maybe she's a regular woman. So he says, no, it turns out that right. Then she's right. That would be a suffix sota in terms of, and then the question would be, tsaras, sota, what would that case be? But over here, in case of machzor grushaso, right? So over here, according to Rabbi Yossi ben Kever, so he would hold that there is no lav, and according to the Rabbanan, there would be a lav. So Boimine, Rabbi Yehuda.
Is on the woman or on her tzara? I mean,
so the lav would be over here on him, right?
him, but it's for taking the tzara too, or if that's Sota who the husband died, she had a tzara.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The Sota whose husband died,
Yeah.
she had another wife. There was another wife at tzara.
Right.
So according to Rabbi Yossi ben Akifar, the tzara is there is or is not a lav on taking on.
So in the lav goes back to the sota case. In other words, if he remains with her, then there's a lav on him to remain with her.
Right. What about I know, but
Right.
what about the tzara? So if he dies, does she?
No, the tzara is fine, right?
She's fine.
Yeah. So we're only talking even before the Yibum part. Just the lav in itself is going on while he's married with her. So there's a lav if he sleeps with her again. So boy minei Rabbi Yehuda me Rav Sheshes. Hamachzir grushaso, because remember he's not also a kariser, right? She's only a suffix, right? A suffix of Isra. So now it creates a lav that he can't be with her until she goes ahead and drinks.
Right, but if he died,
so once he dies, so the lav is not. We're not talking about that case. Once he dies, then the question is.
I was just wondering if Sarah.
this whole thing started about Sarah Sota.
Right.
That's what this whole thing was about. So
Right.
There's the Sota Vada and then there's the Sota Suffix. This is the case of the Suffix, right?
Right.
So and we said, why are you bringing the Akasha from the case of the Suffix? I'm talking about a Sota Del Raisa. But
Right.
in this case where the guy died, is she then
Well, she
Sarah?
was-
No, choletzes, let me say that.
And
Yes.
Sarah is also choletzes.
Yeah. So we'll soon see that. The Gemara is going to ask in this case. Let's see.
There's too much going on.
Yeah. So the Gemara is going to talk about now.
This isn't very complicated.
No, not at all.
So boy minei Rabbi Yehuda me Rav Sheshes. Hamachzir gushaso mishanises. Let's go back to the other case. Hamachzir gushaso. So once again, a guy divorces a woman. She marries somebody else, right? She marries a complete marriage to Shimon. Shimon dies or divorces her, and then she wants to go back to Reuven. So Hamachzir gushaso mishanise. So he married her, then Umeis, and then Reuven dies. Sarasa mahu. What is the halacha regarding the tzara of a machzir gushaso? Okay, so Reuven was already married to another woman, right? And then he remarried his original wife, who was married to somebody else. So now he has two wives. One is the machzir gushaso. Right, he was not supposed to do that, but he did it anyways, right? And then he dies. So that's the mahu. So leave it to Rabbi Yosef. According to Rabbi Yossi ben Kevar, it's not a question. Why Kevan Damar Rabbi Yossi ben Kevar Tuma b'Machzir Gushaso who defsiva? Since he says over there that the Tuma was written by Machzir Gushaso. So remember, he left the pshat in the pasuk. He did not say that pasuk is referring to Sota, right? So he said the pshat in the pasuk was strictly talking about Tuma in a case of when she was Nises La'acher, right, to the second guy, to Shimon, right? And therefore, it's a case of Tuma. And Saratza Kamaisa, and her tzara is just like her, right? In other words, and just like in a regular case where there's an erva, her and her tzara are pater. So over here, that the Sota, or actually the Machzir Gushaso and her step or her co-wife are both pater. People should deceive it toeva he, and if it says over there that's maybe it's toeva he toeva toeva. It means over there it's a toeva if you take it back. Remember, the children aren't toeva. The children aren't, let's say, mamzerim. However, hatzaras a toeva. But to go ahead and for the co-wife, that would be a toeva, right? Because it says toeva he. So the question by the tzaras machzir gusha. So it's not according to Rabbi Yossi ben Kefa. Rather, we're talking about kibbutz l'chal libid rabbanan. According to Rabbanan, who say that pasuk of machzir gusha is referring to a tzaras, referring to a sot. And afagadan rabbanan tuma b'saitu d'chsiv. So even though it says over there by tuma in that pasuk, right? So a mikra yatzim midei pshuto. Therefore, nevertheless, the pasuk isn't talking midei pshuto, and therefore. Right, that over there, they're talking about if she is nitmes with somebody else, i.e., she marries Shimon and then he divorces her, he dies, and she falls in, and then Reuven takes her back. Nevertheless, we would say that that she's there is no yibum chalitza involved because she was nitmes, right, quote unquote. Or duma came to akar. Or do you say once we say the pasuk Sota, we don't care whether Machzir Gushaso uses the word nitmes, because over there it's not talking about Machzir Gushaso, and therefore there is no proof to say that a person was Machzir Gushaso after Nesuin to guy number two, and then he took her back. Then it's an erva because the pshat the pasuk is completely talking about Sota. And he could some have a different version of this question. I'll leave it there. It's not a question. Why came in the Yakir? Since the pasuk over there is not talking about Machzir Gushaso, so therefore we don't say Machzir Gushaso is like an erva because it says Tuma, right? The pasuk over there is talking about a Sota, right? A woman who was Nistora and was talking about her. So Tibor Lechal was the question. I'll leave it to Rabbi Yosef ben Kefer. According to Rabbi Yosef ben Kefer, Samai Afagad Rabbi Yosef ben Kefer Tuma Machzir Gushaso Dechsiva. Maybe that which is says over there Tuma and it's referring to Machzir Gushaso. Maybe it's Mia Rachmana he Toeva. Maybe it means that only she is the Toeva, but her tzara can go ahead and do Yibum Chalitza. Oduma. Or maybe he Toeva, maybe not Toeva, her tzara is Toeva. Maybe it says Toeva, her children are Toeva, but her tzara is still right. According to Rabbi Yosef, which is the Mia? Are we be married the children or be married her tzara? So regarding this question of the tzara of a machzir gusha, so the pasuk, the brayso says, "Haisachas ksher v'achas psula." One of them was ksher. We'll soon define what that means, and one of them is psula. Ima yacholetz. If he's do chalitza, choletz the psula. Do chalitza to the apostle, right? And if you're going to go ahead and do v'mayam miyabim, and if he's going to, the brothers are going to choose to do yibum, then miyabim the ksher. Go ahead and do yibum to the kashua. So my ksher, my psula. So what does it mean if you can do chalitza, do the apostle one? If you do yibum, do the ksher one. So my ksher, my psula. Ilem ksher le alma. If we're talking about ksher, now is ksher le alma. In other words, she's kasher le kahuna. She's kasher le kahuna. Right. So then, and psula is psula alma is apostle to a kohen. So kaven the ledide chazi my nafle mina. right? Well, who cares whether, if she's the guy's Yisrael and we don't care whether she's, mutter to another, to a Kohen or not, who cares, right? Elav, rather, what does it mean? Kshera means kshera le, psula psula. Well, mind you, what is that case? Machzir grushaso. It maybe over here is referring to that one over there is kshera, is the tzara, right? Over here, the psula is the machzir grushaso. Viktani, im hayabi yabim yabim, l'kshera. And you see over there, if he wants to do yibum, he does yibum to the kosher one, i.e., not to the one who he previously divorced and he took back as his second wife again, right? Rather, the tzara. So you see, she's called a kshera one. So you see, there is yibum and chalitza when it comes to the tzara. So that should answer our question. The psula one is machzir grushaso, right? So the guy dies, leaving over one wife that he shouldn't have taken back, but he took her back. And the other one. So if he's doing chalitza, do chalitza to the machzir grushaso. And if he does yibum to the tzara.
He's Machzir grushaso, that means she was then married to his brother?
No. She was married to somebody else. She was married. She was married to Ruvain originally,
Right.
and then she went ahead and married Bob, right? Someone unrelated. And then Bob divorced her. Bob died, and Ruvain took her back as his wife.
But isn't the case, we're talking about a case of even a chalitza, right?
Right. So Bob.
That means she had to be married to his brother, no?
No.
Proving that.
That's what Ruben.
Now the question is.
The only one who, right.
And she was in an incorrect marriage, and can the other brother take?
Right. She married someone in the middle who wasn't related to any of them. And then he took her back. And right. So isn't that the case? So my name is Gusha, so Victani Imaya Miyabim Miyabim, the Kshera. Where's the low? Yalam Kshera Kshera Lialma. Upsula Yalma. No, really we're talking about when he said kosher means kosher to a Kohen. And now what you say puzzle means puzzle to Kohen. And we say, okay, well, whether it was fit to him, who cares? So Mishum Rav Yosef, Rav Yosef, Kan Shana a Rebbe La Yishpach Adam Meiboro V'Acherim Tzrichim Lahem. Basically, it was teaching us more about the chalitza, that a person shouldn't go ahead and pour out water that others need. In other words, he shouldn't go ahead and if there's a woman who's kshera l'kahuna, but all of a sudden he does chalitza to her, right? So now she's a chalutza.
Which is like a
So,
grusha.
Right, like a grusha.
Wait, so if Reuben is married to Rachel and Leah. Reuben dies without kids. Someone performs chalitza on Leah. Rachel is still kosher for kahuna?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's not considered a chalitza.
Right. The only chaletz is the one who has the chalitza, not the
Okay,
tzara.
so it doesn't go on the tzara.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's
Right.
not
Correct.
okay.
Yeah. Right. So in other words, and therefore, basically, if you're gonna basically make one a chalutza, just make the one who is machzir grusha, so she was already divorcee, to be to be once again let her be the chalutza. Right. So therefore, we say that case. So Tashma, hamachzir grushaso mishanisnes he v'tzarasa chaletzas. If one is machzir's grusha, right, from all when she had even the suin. So her netzar chaletz, he was a chaletzes. So he was a that's the way her too, right? Ella ema ohi otzarasa, right? Right. You can't say he does chalitza to both of them. He was tzarasa chaletzes. You get to both of them. Rather means either her or her or the co-wife. So you see over there that there is chalitza, right? The laughter is the commentator today. Wait a second. You just switched around the lashon there, right? You just switched around because you said that he, right? He v'tzarasa. So he says he otzarasa. So teretzachi. Why don't you explain the Bible like this? He chaletzes tzarasa chaletzes omisevemes. Just say no. If this is the machzir grusha, so it's chalitza to her, and it's the other one, the tzara, then you can do yibum or chalitza, or you can do. So in that case, maybe it could be. So you can't ask the question. You're already changing the lashon of the brisa. I could change it the other way that it proves that she is even kosher for yibum. All right, we'll stop here because now it goes on to a new kasha, which goes all the way to Yud Beis, like halfway down. So it's Sunday, Mitzvah Shem, 6:45.